Did you know there are many English words that don't exist in Spanish? I know! Today I'm here to tell you 20 of my favorite English words that don't exist in Spanish. Venga, vamos! Ok, empezamos con una de las que yo más uso. This is one of my most used words, and it's commute, to go to work. Esto significa tu trayecto al trabajo. Lo puedes usar como un nombre o como un verbo. To commute or a commute. Okay? I've got a very long commute to work, or I commute for 2 hours to work. We don't have that word in Spanish. No existe en español. En español diríamos algo así como mi trayecto al trabajo. Does that make sense? Número 2. Busk, to busk. Dun, 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 dun. You know, todos hemos visto a esos músicos que están en la calle pidiendo dinero mientras cantan. We've seen them in the underground, in the streets, Covent Garden in London, en Madrid, en la Plaza Mayor, en todas partes. Eso tiene un nombre. La acción que realizan esos músicos callejeros es to busk. They're busking. Número 3. Wait for it. ¿Qué es eso? Esos son mis dedos de los pies. Yes, those are my fingers of the feet. Foot fingers? Fingers of the foot? Dedos de los pies in Spanish. In English we say toes. Those are my toes. Okay? I quite like that because there's a big difference between los dedos de las manos, your fingers, and the toes. Los dedos de los pies. Dios, qué vergüenza. Número 4. My students use this one a lot when they say, stop staring at me. Stop staring. You know, teenagers when somebody's looking at them and they say, stop staring. Okay? Stare. To stare es mirar fijamente a alguien. En español no tenemos un verbo para ello. Tendríamos que decir mirar fijamente. Número 5. Number 5. To dive. Dive. And I know what you're thinking, wait a minute, Patri, dive es bucear. Vale, sí, efectivamente, dive es bucear, pero también, y yo lo utilizo mucho más como es, I use this meaning a lot more, es tirarse de cabeza. I'm diving from the boat to the sea. I'm diving in the pool. Tirarse de cabeza. En español tenemos que decir to throw yourself with your head. Okay? Head forward. De cabeza. Tirarse de cabeza. To dive. A lot easier in English. Number 6. Número 6. Slippers. Okay? Zapatillas de andar por casa. Shoes to walk around the house. Makes sense, right? A lot easier in English once again. And I know what you're going to say to me. Hold a minute. Before you say to me, wait a minute, Patri, there is a word for those in Spanish, and that is pantuflas. Okay, but if I was to say pantuflas in Spain, the vast majority of the population would not have a clue what I'm talking about. I know this is a word in Argentina and some other Latin American countries, but not in Spain really. I've never heard it in Spain at least. Okay? In Spain we normally say zapatillas de andar por casa. If you want to say them shorter, you could say zapatillas, but that could also be confused with deportivas, which are your trainers, we sometimes refer to them as well as deportivas. Se puede confundir, así que bueno, en inglés, slippers, my friends. Número 7. This is not a very Spanish tradition. To tip. To tip. Dar propina o dejar propina. To tip. En español necesitamos dos palabras, el verbo dejar o dar y la palabra propina. Propina is a tip. En inglés no, to tip. How much are we tipping? I don't know, 10%? That's in the UK. Normally. Or sometimes. En Estados Unidos, cuando voy, la conversación es más como, how much are we tipping? And it's like, between 25% and 35%. Madre mía, se nos ha ido de las manos esto de las propinas en Estados Unidos. Ya os lo digo, se nos va de las manos. Oh, I hate this. Spam. Correo basura o correo no deseado es junk mail. Spam, correo basura o correo no deseado. Aunque la palabra spam ha trascendido a España y como muchas de estas palabras, like many of these words, sometimes it's a lot easier to say it in English, and especially in work environments we use the anglicismo. We use the English words applied to the Spanish language. So we would say, ¿no te ha llegado el correo? You haven't received the mail? Mira tu spam. Okay, and we would say it a bit more Spanglish, like spam. That's a very normal pronunciation. Número 9. I was very confused when I first heard my husband saying the word bromance. ¿Qué? Bromance? This is a compound word made up of the word brother and romance. Bromance. What does it refer to? It's describing the close relationship between two men, but that doesn't imply anything sexual or anything really romantic in that sense, okay? Anything really... they just love each other like brothers, okay? Son dos chicos que se quieren como hermanos, se llevan muy bien, nada más allá, solamente tienen una relación muy fraternal y eso es un bromance. Número 10. To shoplift. Mira que tenemos palabras en español para expresar cuando alguien es un chorizo. Have you ever heard that one? When somebody is a thief, you can refer to that person as a chorizo. Okay? Which of course is a very famous sausage, chorizo. But no, in this case, shoplifting does not have a verb for it in Spanish because it refers to the act of stealing, robar, en una tienda, in a shop. We just have the word robar, and we would have to specify if it's in a shop or where else, okay? So, robar en español, robar en una tienda, robar en una casa. Shoplift in English only refers to stealing in a shop. Esta me la sé muy bien, porque la sufro todos los días. Homesick. Número 11. Homesick. Okay. Homesick es una palabra que yo la uso muchísimo because I'm so homesick. I miss Spain so much living in England. How do we say that? How do we express when we are homesick? We can't say estoy homesick, okay? There's no expression for it in Spanish. We would have to say echo de menos mi casa, echo de menos mi país, echo de menos mi familia. To miss something, echar de menos. Or, a bit more applicable to this one would be tener morriña, tener nostalgia, to be nostalgic about something, okay? Tener morriña, a bit more casual, nostalgia, a bit more formal. But we don't have a specific word to express homesick. Don't forget to lock the door. Número 12. To lock. Y me vais a decir, Patri, hay una palabra para lock in Spanish. Es cerrar. Vale, sí. Cerrar is close something. Close the door. Cierra la puerta. Cierra la puerta, que se escapa el gato. Close the door, okay? But if you want to lock the door, sería cierra con llave. Cerrar con llave is the verb, okay? To close with the key. Cerrar con llave. ¿Has cerrado la puerta con llave? There's a difference. Sometimes we do shorten it and we imply with the verb cerrar, but it doesn't mean the same. One thing is closing, cerrar, and the other one is to lock, which we have no verb for it. We use cerrar con llave. Cerrar con pestillo, cerrar con cerrojo, whatever you're using to lock something with, ¿vale? Llegamos a la era del internet, al Gen Z, todo su vocabulario. Crush. Es mi crush. El otro día me decía una niña en clase, Miss, es mi crush. Número 13, crush. ¿Qué es un crush? La usamos en español todos los días. Esta palabra se oye muchísimo. You can hear this word all the time in Spain nowadays. And it means the person you fancy. El que te gusta o la que te gusta. Okay, that's how we would say it. Ay, es el que me gusta. Es la que me gusta. Okay, es como tu amor platónico, pero crush doesn't imply that it's platonic. It doesn't have to be platonic. It can be somebody achievable, you know? It can be somebody that you end up with, and at the beginning, he or she is your crush. But we don't have that word to describe it. We would just say, he's the one I fancy, she's the one I fancy, es el que me gusta o la que me gusta. Os cuento una cosa. Cuando yo era más joven, no voy a decir joven, cuando yo era más joven, el que me gustaba, my crush was Robert Pattinson. De Crepúsculo, from Twilight. Oh, I had such a huge crush on him. Estaba colgadita por Robert Pattinson, ya os lo digo. Seguimos con los robos. Número 14. Carjacking. What is carjacking? First time I heard this word in England, I was a bit confused. I was like, carjacking? What do you mean? You normally hear it in the news or, you know, people talking about an event that's happened. And in Spanish, that would be un robo de un coche con violencia. Carjacking. Simple as that, I guess. We don't have a word to describe that in Spain. A ver cómo se explico esta. Haters gonna hate. Anyway, haters. Ay, Dios mío, dame paciencia. A ver, ¿qué es un hater? Un hater es una persona que odia a todo el mundo. ¿Lo podríamos traducir como odiador? Sí. ¿Tendría sentido? No. We never say this word in Spanish. Never. Every person that speaks social media language in Spanish uses this word as hater. Hater. El hater. Es un hater. ¿Te tiran mucho hate tus seguidores? ¿Tienes mucho hate? And we say it, of course, with the Spanish equivalent of the H strong sound, the J. It's more like a J for us. Hater. ¿Ok? Un hater. Un saludito, haters. Que vaya bien. Oh, and speaking of which, that brings me to número 16, number 16, to wave. Wave is to greet somebody, going like that, isn't it? Moving your hand. En español es que no hay palabra, no hay verbo, there's no verb for that. We would say decir hola o decir adiós. Tal cual. Ya está, decir hola o decir adiós. Simple. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't know if you can tell, but this is actually a day later because I forgot to say this one in the original video. So there you have it. Aquí no se ha enterado nadie. No pasa nada. Vale, y ahora vamos con la número 17. Number 17, mean. Mean. To be mean. What does it mean in Spanish? That joke, sorry. So, in Spanish, it means a lot more than bad. In Spanish, we have malo. Pero mean no es solamente malo, es como cruel, puede ser antipático, puede ser travieso en un momento dado. La típica frase, the typical phrase of, Miss, he's being mean, okay? I, as a teacher, get told this all the time. He's making mean comments, okay? ¿Qué sería mean comments? Comentarios evil, comentarios con maldad, okay? So mean, alguien que hace algo con maldad. Malo, cruel, antipático, un montón de cosas negativas. You don't want to be mean. Seguimos con estas nuevas generaciones, con la jerga online, with this kind of online slang. And this one is a very common one, especially if you're looking at movie reviews or series reviews. Número 18, number 18, spoiler. Ok, ¿qué es un spoiler? Un spoiler o to spoil, ok, cuidado con el verbo. Un spoiler, el nombre spoiler, significa cuando alguien te cuenta la peli. ¿Sabes esta persona que no se sabe callar, que ha visto una peli, una serie y cuenta y habla demasiado? Esa persona. Esa persona te está haciendo un spoiler. Y tú le dices, hombre, no me hagas un spoiler. En español usamos esa palabra, está a la orden del día. También he oído decir, más antiguamente, por ejemplo en la época de mis abuelos y tal, se usaba mucho más la frase, no me cuentes la película. Hombre, no me cuentes la película. No me destripes la serie. No me lo cuentes, no me lo cuentes. Don't you tell me. That would be the equivalent. Don't tell me about the movie. Don't destripar, okay? La película. But yeah, there's no verb today. But be careful with this one because it means arruinar o destripar una película, but it can also mean to spoil somebody or a spoiled person, which means mimar o una persona mimada. ¿Sabes? El típico niño mimado. He's a spoiled brat. El niño mimado. Una persona mimada. ¡Ay! Esta me la dicen mucho mis alumnos. My students are always telling me I'm this, which is pretty embarrassing for me. Because they say I am cringe. Número 19. Cringe. I sing a lot in my lessons. I like to be a payasa. I like to be a clown in my lessons. And so they say to me, you know what teenagers are like? They're like, oh, miss, so cringe, so cringe. And my husband says this to me a lot as well. But I like being cringe, okay? ¿Y qué significa eso en español? What does that mean in Spanish? In Spanish, it means que das vergüenza ajena. Second-hand embarrassment, ¿ok? Dar vergüenza ajena, pero no necesariamente solo eso. Es decir, ser cringe tiene varias acepciones. Puedes usarlo de distintas maneras. Una puede ser dar vergüenza ajena, otra puede ser avergonzarse, puede ser como sentir angustia, escalofríos. Se aplica a varias situaciones. Cringe es una palabra muy versátil. A mí me gusta. And last but not least, but before I tell you the last one, are you enjoying this? ¿Estás intentando aprender inglés Or are you trying to learn Spanish? Because I'm a 2-for-1, my friends. So if that's the case, if you're trying to learn Spanish or English or both, join the channel. Click subscribe. What are you waiting for? Subscribe button is right here for you. And give me a like, please, because that really helps me to keep creating this content for you guys. And by the way, if you want me to do a special video on something, you've got any requests, I'm always happy to read the comments and get some ideas from you and actually give you the content that you're looking forward to seeing. So leave me a comment and I'll be more than happy to do that for you. Y last but not least, stop being so awkward. Número 20, awkward. Notice the pronunciation, awkward. Awkward, okay? Awkward. Don't be awkward. What can that mean? Pues yo te lo cuento. A ver, puede significar torpe when you're dancing with somebody and you're like, oh, they look so awkward. When you're looking at an uncomfortable situation or when you are in an uncomfortable situation and somebody goes, awkward. Entonces es eso, una situación incómoda, rara. También puede usarse para referirse, to refer to a delicate or complicated situation. For example, oh, he's just going through such an awkward stage at the moment. He's just going through a rough time, through an awkward time, okay? The awkward time of, I don't know, being a teenager. Alright? So, una situación delicada, complicada o inoportuno. You open the door. You are leaving the house, te vas a ir, y justo viene el vecino a verte, a tomarse un té contigo, y tú, oh, this is awkward, I was just leaving, me iba, ¿ok? A mí me encanta la palabra awkward, y me encantan todas las demás también. Ok, I hope that was very useful, espero que hayan sido muy útiles estas palabras, y hasta la próxima, see you very soon, adiós!